celebration, Simcha, Simcha, celebration of life.
Hi from me, Jared Epstein, and welcome to another episode of Simcha, a celebration of life. On today's show, we learn about the Torah Academy Girls High School, while Rabbi Julia Margolis explains the significance of pomegranates. First up, we meet author Irene Berman and learn all about her book, Tucker Wants to Fly.
Ma Ostrich, out for a morning stroll, heard something plop, then saw it roll. She stopped it with an outstretched leg and saw that it was a large round egg. Now look at that, she bent her neck and gave the egg a curious peck. It must have fallen from a tree. I'd better take it home with me. So she rolled it with her beak and legs all the way to her clutch of eggs. Pa Ostrich, she called, come lend me a hand. But he could not hear with his head in the sand. I've been writing children's stories for as long as I can remember. And I remember when my children were little, they were always around animals. I relate to animals, and I think children relate to animals. And there are many lessons and many stories one can use with animals in mind. And the story of Tucker is probably an ugly duckling scenario in an African context. I think that people could take many things from Tucker, from the story of Tucker. I think Tucker addresses the question of the uniqueness of a child, a person, the fact that we each have potential that can be fulfilled, that can be maximized, and that when we try to be like everybody else, we often squash that potential. I think it's about, in terms of parenting, whether adoptive parenting or biological parenting, it's about seeing the uniqueness of your child, of seeing that your child comes with God-given talents and abilities that may be different from your own, that might not necessarily fit with your family. But when you follow your passion, I think that perhaps that's a gift we can give to children, to teach children to follow their passions. It's certainly what I'm doing. 10 little ostriches finally hatched, but number 11 was clearly mismatched. They called him Tucker, which simply meant bird, though to be frank, he looked quite absurd. Young ostriches would race across the sand, but Tucker hated being on land. He would flap his huge wings and gaze up at the sky, saying over and over, I want to fly. We can't let you fly, Ma cried in alarm. Please stay on the ground or you'll come to sure harm. Look at us, ostriches, guinea fowl and quail, even secretary bird with her fancy tail. Wherever we go, we're happy to walk. Now stop with all this flying talk. When one of my grandchildren was very little, there was a shipwreck, a boat that ran aground on Second Beach, Clifton. And we went down to see it, and she must have been about 3 at the time, and she spoke about the stuck boat. And that was probably the first story that I wrote in rhyme. I wrote a story called The Tug and the Stuck Boat. And I found that writing in rhyme came incredibly naturally. In fact, it was almost easier to take a concept and to put it in rhyme. It created a sort of a format that worked for me, and it came very easily. And from then, I started writing children's stories, always with, I didn't start out with a kind of a lesson or a theme or a moral, but they turned into stories that taught something, that showed something. I think that all my stories are very, very much steeped in my own Jewish background and my value system. And I think stories are incredibly important for children. Reading is so important for children, and parents reading to children creates a very special bond, a very magical time, a little sort of a bubble, perhaps before a child goes to bed. Children have favorite stories, and it's always been interesting to me, certainly with my grandchildren, how each of them has had a favorite story as they've grown, which often shows one where they're at or what they're needing at the time. So Tucker tried to join the fun, though his stocky legs made it hard to run. and the others found his wings so funny he tried to stick them down with honey. His body was heavy with claws on his feet, and try as he might, he admitted defeat. He dreamed of flying, of soaring high above the clouds into the sky. To feel his wings stretched wide and free, oh, how happy he would be. It starts off with an idea. It starts off with something that I want to say. It gets carried through an example in nature, a particular animal, whether it's a porcupine or whether it's an elephant or whether it's often birds. And once I start writing, it often feels very guided. I often have a feeling when I read back on it that I didn't do that alone. It's the most amazing process. And I know that when I write, I go into another kind of zone that is, and I think that anybody who works with inspiration, when you feel in that inspired space, in that groove, it feels guided, and it feels as though, I don't do this alone. It's the most wonderful space to be in. And I think it comes from a passion for animals and for children and for wanting to impart a message in a fun, creative kind of way. And for me, it's just a joy.
The Torah Academy Girls High School is looking out for the bright futures of their students by starting off on a new adventure. We get to know a little bit more about the school's new project, or should I say premises. Board member Mendel Goldman tells us more.
The establishment of the school, and I'm not 1,000% sure, but it was more or less around 1979 was the school. But the girls' high school was only established in 1988. At the time, if I'm not mistaken, they were in Observatory. And this property that we're in now in Rouville, Lubotha, it was acquired in 2001. And at that time, the Mora Rebecca Saki was appointed the principal. So the school's been here in this campus for now, from 2001, for 21 odd years, and it's really time to move on. If you look around, you'll see what I mean. So I was actually on this campus in 2017, and I was chatting to the principal. She was a bit frustrated, and she called me because she heard I was involved in the school at some level, and she called myself and another board member at the time. And she said, I just want to show you this campus, and I just want to show you how dilapidated it is, and I need you to understand that this is not okay, that we need something much better for our girls. And she walked me around the campus, and she said, look around, and the other campus, which is the main campus in the Orchards on Oaklands Road, is a beautiful, beautiful campus with sports fields and a lot of space and playgrounds and a boys' high school and a primary school and a nursery school and a play school. And she said, why should our girls in high school have anything less than the main campus has? And I said, I absolutely agree with you. Let's start thinking, how are we going to do this? And that was in, I think, late 2017. And then we looked around for a property to acquire. And it took about a year to find the right property. And as things go, that's how the seed was planted.
What I love about the school is all the principal, Mara Rebecca, all the teachers, all the staff, all the students, all my friends, they're all so welcoming and kind. You walk into the school, everyone's smiling at you, and it's just all welcoming, and you feel at home in a way.
The thing I love most about Torah Academy is the unity, how girls sit together, they mix, everybody becomes one and nobody feels not included. And how we learn new things all together, and every day is a new experience.
I was just really, really excited. There's a new opportunity to make new memories with the people around us. And I think that as much as our campus, like, we've grown into it and we love it, like, it's time for a new one.
The reasons why we've actually decided to build this new campus is a couple of things. Number one, the area that the current campus is in is not as safe as we would like it to be. The surrounding properties, buildings are not ideal for a school. It's on a very busy road, being Lubotha. And we actually considered renovating the current building as opposed to moving. So there was a substantial cost as well in that option of renovating this current building. So while we were going to spend a huge amount of money here, we thought ideally we should rather spend that money elsewhere, be in a better area, more safe, also just as central. And yeah, those are the main reasons. Probably the largest milestone was the fact that we have a single major seed funder / donor of this project who pledged 15 million rand towards this project, and that put this project into action. And that is a gentleman or family by the name of Mark and Andy Stein, to which the school is extremely grateful, to him and his wife and family, and they pledged it. And the building is actually going to be called Campus Leia, which is in memory of Mark's late mom. And another milestone was also the way that we found the property to buy, and it was actually quite a story of divine providence, how we found the property and how we did the deal of, it was actually a swap where a person owned that land and they were interested in our property where we are right now, this current land, and we actually did a swap, and it just so happened the values were very similar, so it was quite an easy transaction. So there were quite a few milestones and blessings in the process, and we still see blessings every single day in this school, and we believe that the school is a very blessed spiritually and materially school.
What I think about the fact that the school is moving is I think it's needed. We need a new campus, and I think it will be great new energy, new life for the school.
When I heard that the school was going to be moving to a new campus, everyone was just so excited and everyone's energy impacted one another. So we all, teachers included, are just so excited for the new experiences and memories that will be created.
The community's response to the project on the whole has been positive. I've no doubt and under no illusion that we will have 100% support from everybody. There will be those that will say, you know, is this the right time? But there's always an element of the community that are going to doubt growth and doubt projects, but we believe that there's no better time than now. We've waited a couple of years to actually get the fundraising going, and I think if we can't do it now, then we'll always be delaying this, and we have to bring it to the fore now.
The fact that somebody has given a donation to allow a Chabad school to be able to move to a beautiful campus has shown the community how amazing people can do and what people can do, and everybody has put their ideas together to create something that we are going to be able to make and experience one day.
As a student, knowing the broader Jewish community cares about our school in particular, it's good. It shows that people have hope in our school, and that, please God, we can just grow.
I think it's just nice to know that there's always somebody looking out for the school, and just that we're never really alone.
The school is known in Johannesburg to be a school for all Jewish children. Its ethos is to be very inclusive and to try and generally bring all Jews ultimately closer to their heritage. The ethos is based on the teachings of the Lubavitcher Rebbe of blessed memory, who was our leader, who was an inclusive of all Jewry. So it's really, we call it the school with a neshama, because we try and instill and bring out the soul of every human being, every Jew, every child that comes to the school. And how we do that is by teaching them not only the subject matter of the curriculum, but more about the purpose of life and what our purpose in this world is, and what the purpose of creation, and much deeper than just the subject matter of of the curriculum that we have to get through to get our matric. So there's quite a focus on Jewish studies. There's a focus on general studies and getting the results that people want in order to get a proper, decent, good education and then move on to tertiary education, whether it's university. And a lot of our students land up becoming professionals and highly impactful in the world. We've got from very observant, impactful student body who've become rabbis and leaders in the Jewish community to business leaders, to professionals, actuaries, doctors. Across the spectrum, we've got quite a very broad alumni who are successful in many different fields. And really the thing that talks to I think a lot of the alumni, including myself, is how the school is multifaceted. It's not really only focused about education. It's not a sports school. It's not only teaching you about your religion. It's quite multifaceted, and it's quite focused on being inclusive of all Jewish children who really want to come out with a strong feeling of Judaism, connection to their heritage, connection to the land of Israel, and on the basis of the teachings of the Chabad philosophy, which is a very much inclusive of all Jews and loving of all Jews.
It's almost that time to say goodbye, but not without first learning a little more about the symbolism behind pomegranates with our new Jewish Symbols segment. The Jewish community tends to always have pomegranate symbols everywhere, especially in Jewish artworks and involved during certain chagim or festivals. But why? Rabbi Julia Margolis tells us a little more, and then we hear Shirat HaShekhinah by Avi Levi.
There is a very special connection between pomegranates and Judaism. And if you will think about different synagogues, there are pomegranates. If you will think about Rosh Hashanah, Jewish New Year, there are pomegranates. We have pomegranates on talit, on challah cover. And it says in the Torah, in the book of Deuteronomy, and I would like to quote chapter 8, verse 7. For the Lord your God is bringing you to a good land, a land with brooks of water, fountains, many valleys and mountains, the land of wheat and barley, vines and figs and pomegranates, a land of oil producing olives and honey. And I think we were talking so much about pomegranates and many pomegranates that are in our culture and in our art. And literally while we were working and thinking about images, there was an image of talit with pomegranate, an image of pomegranate that we'll be using during Rosh Hashanah. There are beautiful artworks. There are chamsas together with pomegranates. We all rush towards different shop and ask each other, where can I get the freshest pomegranate for our Rosh Hashanah table? And I love how we can find the symbolism between the fruit and mitzvot, commandments. In the book of Psalms, there is a beautiful idea of pomegranate and 613 seeds in it. And there is sometimes perception that the person may be not deep spiritually, or the person perhaps is not connected to the Judaism. But if you will think about pomegranate and each of us and the idea, what is the symbol between Jewish people and this beautiful fruit, is that none of us is empty. We all have this very, very strong connection with our spiritual learning, with our Judaism. And therefore, when you are going to look at the pomegranate next time, and you will look how beautiful the fruit is and how full it is with seeds, and you can make this connection to all of us, that we are full of ideas, joy, happiness about learning our Judaism, learning about our traditions, and why not to have another connection of symbolic fruit and our rituals.
דוד מזמור, למד ששרתה עליו שכינה, ואחר כך אמר שירה. לדוד מזמור, למד ששרתה עליו שכינה, ואחר כך אמר שירה. מזמור לדוד מלמד שאמר שירה, ואחר כך שרתה עליו שירה שכינה, שירה שכינה, שירה שכינה. לדוד מזמור למד ששרתה עליו שכינה, ואחר כך אמר שירה. לדוד מזמור למד ששרתה עליו שכינה, ואחר כך אמר שירה. מזמור לדוד מלמד שאמר שירה, ואחר כך שרתה עליו שירה שכינה, שירה שכינה, שירה שכינה, שירה.
That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Simcha, a celebration of life. As always, we'd love to hear from you, so please send us a Facebook message at Spirit Sister Productions. From me, Jared Epstein, and the Simcha team, remember, pomegranate trees can live over 200 years, so eat your fruit and veg. Who knows what may happen?
מזמור לדוד מלמד שאמר שירה, ואחר כך שרתה